please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm delighted to be here on this particular topic because I am a mom. I also manage a team of moms, dads, parents in general. And I think this is such an important topic for employers to better understand, for parents generally to understand. And it's something I've definitely spent some time thinking about and experiencing myself. So, really excited to be here. I am not only a mom myself to an almost 14-year-old daughter, I've also had a career in both tech, media, and brand for about 20 plus years. And I have lived in the US, lived and worked in the US, but I also currently live and work in Asia.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So, Tawana, I want to know when you think back on the moms you have managed, whom you had considered as being amongst your most valuable employees, what did they do differently that made them successful in their roles?
Well, I think generally the people that I've had an opportunity to work with across companies like Intuit and Johnson & Johnson, Meta today, and even the partners that, externally we have a chance to be exposed to, some large advertisers, there's a lot of smart people. And moms in particular, I think, spend a good amount of time really honing in on, not only things like time management, which become super important, but we have the potential, just like anyone else, to really contribute to the culture of an organization, to the growth and the acceleration and the innovation of an organization. So I think it's the experience of being a mom that makes you resilient. It makes you creative, and it certainly gives you perspective on the world that is valuable to any organization.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that. And I want to understand when you look back at your journey, right? How have your managers helped you through the life changes?
Yeah, so I've had a particularly hard journey on becoming a mom. And there were times during my career where there were tension points on um, investing in time. I think about this one meeting in particular where it was my chance to present in front of the whole division, but it was going to be on the first day of school for my daughter. And I really, really wanted to be there. Um, and so managers in those instances who can understand the context of what you're working in, right? When you are a parent and how you often have to choose whether you're going to attend that meeting or you're going to take that business trip or you're going to go to that first day of school moment. Having open communication and dialogue, managers in my case who um, built a trusting relationship so that I could be really transparent about all of the challenges and things that I was working through. Those were probably the most helpful managers in my journey.
I want to understand how do you see yourself supporting women who have families to navigate and work at the same time? How do you see them? How do you see to support them in your organization?
So while I think there's a very important part of supporting families and supporting moms in particular, that has to do with the structure that companies will put in place so that there's some systemic support, whether that means, parental leave or options and flexibility for hybrid working or returning to office or remote work or working from another country. There are lots of different elements that will support moms and parents in particular. But then it often comes down to the manager and employee direct experience. And so I did some personal reflection thinking about, all of the articles that were written on the Great Resignation and the fact that women in particular were more impacted by so many of the challenges that were being called out, whether that was burnout or increase in anxiety or just feeling like they didn't have options in terms of the greater tensions that existed due to homeschooling or health issues. And so this year, at the start of the year, I really started talking more, particularly to those young parents, and trying to have a perspective that was a bit more like one to one and customizing it and deepening my own journey because my daughter is 14 years old. And so what's true today and what's needed today is a little bit different. And I did learn a lot from just spending time with some of the parents who honestly were looking for a chance to talk about some of these topics.
Oh, wonderful. And thank you so much for creating that space for parents and for everybody to open up about their journeys and to have that dialogue running. What advice do you have for new managers who are starting to take care of teams?
Hmm. Well, I do think that, there's some qualities at Meta, for example, we talk a lot about the 10 manager behaviors. And the first one is showing care. And that's really interesting because some managers, I think they get tripped up by that one in that, it can feel like an overinvestment of really getting to know the people on your team and understanding that, this concept of servant leadership, the idea that by knowing a bit more about each of the persons that are on your team, you can identify what does good look like, what does help look like, how can we be successful, what are the strengths and things that they have, and what are the things that they need that might be different from other people. And just normalizing that has to become, I think, a foundation for especially new managers, because sometimes it can take upwards of a year to really get to know some of the people who you are working with. And sometimes those conversations can feel, personal, they can feel a little bit awkward. And people won't just share right out of the gate. But if you foster environments, maybe it's a consistent set of time where you're going to get together and you're going to have opportunities for more discussion, dialogue, or being engaged on different projects, you'll get to know people on the team a bit more. So the show care behavior that we really focus on of the of the 10 manager behaviors that we discuss at Meta, it's the one that I continue to emphasize for new managers because so many people will focus on things like productivity and how to coach people on being successful. But really it has to start with just being, starting as a human to human and connecting with the other person and understanding the context of how and where they're showing up.
Yeah, it's so important to realize that we all are humans at the end of the day and working at our workplaces. So, very helpful. Um,
Absolutely.
Ivana, what mom-related policies or changes do you envision that would make teams more successful?
I do think leave policies are at the foundation for what needs to continue to change, and particularly in some parts of the world where there's just a disparity on how that looks inside companies. Seeing more parents or companies offer parental leave to moms and dads is also really great because it provides opportunity for families to establish not only the bonding, but the connection and the support for children and raising children to come from both parents, as opposed to it only being offered to moms, because then that may mean if they are looking to accelerate on aspects of their career, they will have to choose in some cases. But by offering different leaves and extended leave options to both parents, that's just something I'm particularly passionate about because I myself didn't really have a great option there. And I do see more dads who are taking that leave and who are getting advice from other dads about how to stagger that leave so that it creates this real nice web of support for the family. So that's one, huge one for me. I think support groups, when you come back to the office, returning to office as a new mom is something that you still need that community, and you need that community in the context of where you're working, for all the tips and all the hacks and all the ideas, for how you might continue to grow and support your family, but also be successful on the job. And the other one I would just mention as the final one is specific training for managers, so that there is some insight, just as we talk about insights for consumers or building new business ideas or products. They're real insights on what the new mom journey is, and I would love to see companies invest more in that and take those insights and incorporate them into specific training to help new managers, or to help managers of new moms in particular, really be successful.
Wonderful. Hearing your thoughts, I feel like if I could have you as my manager or you as my mentor, that would be incredible. Thank you so much, Tawana. Thank you.